Hey guys, welcome back. I'm BJ, this is Brickhouse Builds, and if you're new here, this is a free GS550 I just got, and we've been working on reviving it. So in this episode, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing running. We're at least going to take it up and down the street once, and we'll see how it goes. So anyway, stick around and enjoy the video. Alright, so we've got the intakes on this thing, and these were those kind of cheaper Amazon ones I mentioned, and they were a little bit tricky to compare to see which side was which. They're not marked like the factory ones. So these have an L and an R, so two left, two right. These ones, from what I found, there's a series of 3 dots, okay? It seemed to me by comparing them that the ones with the 3 dots seem to fit the left side better, and that's what we went with. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to feed in these carbs. Hopefully they line up. That's a big mystery at that point, or at this point. Another thing I don't like cheap worm gears, and I can't really use the factory clamps that came on the stock boots. They don't collapse tight enough. They were close, but I'm gonna have to use these little worm gears. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put probably a little layer like Vaseline on these, and to help seal, and we'll start feeding the carbs in. It's gonna be fun. All right, I guess here we go. I brought them out this side, so I'll put them back in this way. Start with throttle cable. They actually seem like they're gonna line up, which is awesome. Probably gonna undo the throttle bracket there. See if this makes life easier. Oh, that might do it. Making progress. Making progress. Okay. They're essentially in, so I'm not going to bore you guys with getting it all the way in there, but just took a little bit of work. We got it. All right, we're at the point where I'm getting ready to drain and refill the oil. So as I mentioned, I have a full can of seafoam in the crankcase here, and just been circulating it, trying to just kind of wash everything. So even though I'm not gonna be able to like run this thing, get it up to temperature and let the oil drain out, we'll do that after we run it with the new oil. We'll run it for a little while and maybe ride it around and stuff like that, and then we'll do like an oil change, you know, well within like the first 100 miles, just to get rid of all the old crap. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get a drain pan out and see what this looks like. It's gonna be who knows, actually, I don't know. Well, if I could see the oil, I could tell you what it looked like, but that's a little tricky right now. That's one thing I've never really been a fan of with this era Suzuki, is that seam right there with the oil filter. It's just so easy to get trash in here. We will clean it up though. So what you guys didn't see was I cleaned this surface. We've got the inside clean. Everything should be good to go. All right, so got it filled up here, and I'm on the upper end of the sight glass. That's because this thing hasn't ran for so long. There's not really going to be much oil in the top end, so once we start it up, it's going to circulate and push that oil everywhere else in the engine. So hopefully that'll bring it back down to the correct level in the window, and we'll be good to go. So as of now, this thing's filled up. We have a new oil filter in it. The carburetors are on it. The battery is sitting there charging. I have new plugs for it. And yeah, it's that close. So tomorrow, for me tomorrow at least, tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and get all that on there. We'll see if this thing lives. Should be fun. Alright, so I was working a little bit on getting this thing to rotate over, trying to diagnose no cranking issues. So that was just dirty contact on the starter button here. So anyway, it rolls over. So I just pulled the plugs out, and I've rolled it over just a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and roll it over and see if I can get the oil pressure light to go off. That's step one. And then one thing I want to do just for fun is I want to do a compression check on all 4 cylinders, since this thing's been sitting since whatever, like 87 or something like that. So I want to do a compression check before and see what that looks like, and then once I run it for a little bit, assuming it runs, I want to do a compression check after. So let's crank it over. Alright, oil pressure light still on. Still on. Okay. Well, whatever. We gotta at least try. Let's just see if it has spark on whatever cylinder. It's number 4, so that's our left coil, so got spark on that one. This will test our right coil. Got spark there. So, assuming this thing is not completely trashed in the bottom end, which I don't think it should be, we should have a runner. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and start that compression check, and we'll see what we get. Alright, cylinder 1. $120 on the nose. Cylinder 2. $140. I can't remember if I opened the throttle on that one. That reading should have been lower than 140 if I didn't, so I'm going to assume I did. Cylinder 3. $130, $132, somewhere in there. And cylinder 4. $150. Just picked up all across the board, seems like. Now I'm betting those left 2 cylinders are a little bit lower, just because, again, there was that grime, a lot of the corrosion on the intake valves. So I bet that if you did a leak down test on this thing, that it would probably want to flow back through the airbox. Just speculation, but we'll see how it goes after it, again, hopefully starts. Also, the choke cable is just completely trashed, so might be a little tricky. I'm going to have to hold the choke open with my hand, I'm sure. smell it. See what it does. This is going to be fun. I hate clutch switches. Light went off immediately. Idle screw is like, I know it's back like all the way out. It sounds really good. It's smoky. You expected that? I'd say that's good enough for a first heat cycle. Carb cleaning and fresh battery and pull the air filter out, new plugs, fresh oil. Simple enough. So this thing seems to run really well. Smokes a little bit as we absolutely expected. It has a crossover pipe in the exhaust, but it doesn't, it seems like it's pretty even smoke-wise out of the tailpipes. I do expect this side to smoke a little bit. and that's just because of the intake valves, as I've mentioned before. It'll be interesting to see just how it clears up, how it acts, and we'll go from there though. But yeah, just took a little bit of choke. It was a little tricky in the beginning because the choke cable is just complete garbage on this thing, and I didn't think about that in the beginning, so I had to hold the choke open by hand, zip tie the clutch, the clutch closed open, however you want to describe it, and then hit the starter button and work the throttle. So it was a little precarious, but we got it going. Seems like it has really great throttle response, and then it just started there when I hit the button for the clutch switch here. Just boom, just fires right up. But seems like it runs really good. So I'm excited to get this thing on the road. I swear my favorite thing to do is to have that fuel thing attached and lower the bike, rip the fuel line off, and let it drain over everything. I'm just not used to having that thing. I've never had one until recently. No excuse, it's just like being a moron. Man. Let's do this. Alright, so since the bike doesn't have an air filter on it, definitely really doggy, but smooth in operation. So it has all the gears, brakes, at least the rear brakes work fine. There's no front brakes on it right now. So far so good. Really not even smoking anymore. Make some progress. Alright guys, so this thing runs, it goes down the road, and short of just going ahead and rebuilding the front brakes and cleaning the tank out and getting this back on, this is a rider. So, what's next for this bike? Well, first order of business is probably to knock a little bit of ugly off of it. So the next episode that you see on this bike, I'm going to go ahead, I already have a set of bars for this thing. I'm going to go ahead and swap those out. I'm probably going to go ahead and either get different turn signals for it or just maybe delete them all together. I don't know. I'd like to pull this rack off, and then I'd like to actually take that fender and maybe move it a little bit forward and paint it, because it's just rusty right now. Give it a little bit more of a streamlined look and just not go crazy with it, but just do a couple little things to make it look a little less gangly and cruisery and stock. So, beyond that, I'm debating something to go on with this bike in the future, or maybe another bike. But we'll discuss that at another time, but it's going to be exciting, whatever I announce. So, anyway, hope you guys like this one. I love getting these things going, and they usually don't give me too much of a fuss. The biggest headaches I had were self-inflicted here by breaking the float tower off, and obviously I just poured gas all over this thing, and I just assembled the master cylinder with the seal upside down, so it was pushing fluid out of the bottom instead of out of the top. So usually these things don't give me too much trouble, and this one was no exception. So anyway, hope you guys like this one, as I said, and if you have any questions or comments or anything, definitely hit me up below. And yeah, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.